Hi, welcome to part 3 of my series of 2D felting tutorials here. Down to earth today, so we're coming down into the foreground to where the earth and the water is. So as you can see, I'm just laying out some blue wool. I picked a lovely mid-coloured mix with a little bit of sparkle in it. It's really nice to have a bit of sparkle in the water. It really makes the water look live and more real, so it's great for a picture. So if you can get some, go ahead. Okay, now you can see I'm just sort of laying it down there, and on the left hand side I'm folding it back on itself because I want a nice sort of edge. I don't want it to sort of go off into the ground there. So okay, sorry about my phone making noises. Here we go, just laying it down, and now I've got a bit of a sort of earth colour, and I'm laying that across the top. Now I don't want it too thick just there because I just want it to look like a bank. So you've got the grass coming down towards the water, and then you've got the bank which goes down and makes the water lower than the ground around it. Otherwise it would just flood, so you need to make it look fairly realistic so that the water is you know, in a dip, as it were. So just laying down the ground colour here, or the mud colour, depending on what you want to consider it to be. I like to think of it as sort of mud, soil. I always used to call it dirt, but my husband said dirt is what schoolboys have behind their ears. If it's in the garden, it's soil. So it's soil, dirt. Anyway, we'll just lay down more of that that sort of lovely earthy colour. It's a mixed colour, but this time we've got a carded bat. I use whatever I've got in the colours that I want, whether it's a tops roving or carded bats. If it's the colour I want, I make use of it and somehow manage to make it work. I do like to use tops rovings for the sky because it tends to have a more of a sheen to it, and it's quite easy to lay down in sort of layers, as the sky often is. You see layers of cloud and layers of sky and such like, so that's the reason I like to use that. And I do quite like it for water as well, for the same reason. It's easy to get a nice straight edge to it, because remember, water doesn't go uphill, and you don't want the water to look as if it's running out of the picture either. So you want it, I mean, it can come in from the side of the picture, that's not a problem, but if you don't get it straight, the water, or parallel with the edge of the picture, it's going to look as if the water is pouring out of the side of the frame, and you don't want that. So just a little bit more of this ground colour here, the soil, and as you can see I've got quite a thin strip at the top of the water there, and adding a little bit more of the blue. Now the darker the blue, the deeper the water looks, so I'm making it darker over to the one side there, and it's a lighter colour where it comes up to the edge, as would be with a pond or a lake, because it's sort of not as deep around the edges, and that's just the way it is. So that's what I'm doing. I'm making it nice and straight, making sure it's well needle felted down and round the edges there. Okay, getting a nice straight edge to the pond. Well, I say a straight edge, it's a little bit curved, but that's fine because you know, the edges of the lakes are not always completely flat, are they? So yep, tucking the ends in there, and now I needle felt it down a bit more and just make sure I haven't got any square edges or points on it. Make it nice and curved because well, yeah, it tends to be curved. bit more soil there to get a little bit more colour to it. Again, by putting one layer on top of another, you're getting that change of colour in it. Now we'll try the mount, and it's beginning to look really quite good. That's the sort of effect I'm looking for. A little bit more blue on the right hand side, making it just that little bit darker, and also filling in that little bit of there where I missed. So that bit there that I'm working on is the bank. It's where the ground comes along and then it drops down and becomes the bank for the lake or the pond. And so I'm making sure that I've got a nice edge between the bank and the water there, because unless it's sort of like flowing water, it's like the sea and it's all blowing up, it's not you're not going to see anything but a straight line. And now I'm taking a little bit more of my curly locks here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make the grass hang over the bank in places. It doesn't hang over all over the picture, but it does hang down the bank. If you look at a bank, unless it's been freshly mown and the edges have been cut, with a pair of shears or whatever, you're going to have some grass that hangs down over the edge of the bank there, and that's the effect I'm giving. You don't want a dead straight line at the top of the bank. The bottom, yes, but not the top. So just pulling that down to make it look like grass that's overhanging. It's overhanging almost down into the water, but that is what grass does. And now I'm needle felting the bank there down quite firmly, because I want it to look as if it's back a bit from the grass. I want the grass to look as if it is hanging over. So look at the angle of the needle there. That's it. There we go. And that's the bank. And it looks a lot more natural like that than just a straight line, doesn't it? Okay. And using the curly locks for that makes it look like you've got that sort of fluffy edge. And now I'm just adding a few bits of green to the earth there, so that it looks like it was grass, but where you've got people walking and you've got the edge of the water, people sort of coming to look at the lake, they've sort of worn the grass out a little bit. We may change it up a little bit later on, and have some more green perhaps, or we may do all sorts of things, give it some bushes. I don't know yet. I haven't decided on the flora or fauna for this picture, because I am making it up as I go along for you. So there we go, and just give that nice edge to the water, and here we go. Look at that. And we will be adding some white wool to the lake later to give it more of a water effect. I mean, it does look like water already, but I like to give it a little bit more of a water effect, especially around the edge. So we will be adding some white perhaps in the next video. And all I'm doing is, when you get locks, often you get some bits that are sort of clumped up and not proper locks, and they're sort of all fuzzy and that, and I like to use those fuzzy bits there to put down, because then it's matching the locks that I've put on the edge of the water, the same colour, but it's just looking like worn out grass. That's the effect that I'm going for there, a bit of worn out grass. So there we are. pop the mount on again to see what it looks like.